Welcome to NoCast by CMUBS, Chiang Mai University Business School, your trusted space for insightful conversations that connect academic research with real-world impact. Here, we bring knowledge to life, exploring ideas, innovations, and inspirations from scholars, students, and professionals across Thailand and beyond. Each episode dives into thought-provoking topics in business, management, and social studies, turning complex research into stories you can relate to and learn from. Whether you're a student, a researcher, or simply someone who loves to learn, NoCast by CMUBS invites you to listen, think, and grow with us. Let's discover new perspectives together, because knowledge is more than information. It's the power to inspire change. You're now listening to NoCast by CMUBS, Chiang Mai University Business School.
You know, every year, public companies release this absolute flood of financial documents. But what if I told you that hidden inside just one of them, the formal audit report, there's a subtle clue that can signal some serious trouble ahead? Well, today, we're going to find that clue, and I'll show you exactly how to use it.
For most of us, an audit report seems pretty simple. It's like, did the company pass or not? But what if the report is actually trying to tell you more? What if it's pointing to the exact spots where the numbers are a little soft, where the judgments get tricky, and, where the next big mistake might be hiding?
The good news is we've moved way past the old system. Audit reports aren't just a simple pass or fail anymore. A massive global shift in accounting now forces auditors to show their work, to tell us exactly what they were most worried about. And that's right where our clue is hiding.
To really get why this change is so huge, we have to take a quick look at how things used to be. For decades, the audit report was, for all intents and purposes, a complete black box for investors.
The researchers here put it perfectly. They said these old reports offered little informative value, which is really just a polite way of saying they were kind of useless. I mean, you knew if the company passed, sure, but you had absolutely no idea how close they came to failing or what the big issues were. Total black box.
So, regulators around the world finally decided to give investors a key to unlock that box. And that key is called Key Audit Matters, or KAMs for short. The idea is actually brilliant in how simple it is. Just force the auditor to list the 1, 2, or 3 things that kept them up at night. These are the areas with the most complex judgments or the highest risk of a major screw-up.
And this wasn't some minor tweak. It was a slow-motion revolution in financial transparency. It started in places like France and the UK, became a global standard in 2016, and even hit the US in 2019. The era of the black box audit was officially over.
But this created a really fascinating new question for researchers. We had all these new clues now, but did they actually work? Did they help anyone spot trouble before it happened? To find out, they needed the perfect test case.
So the big question was this: does shining a light on what an auditor is worried about actually lead to more reliable financial statements for the rest of us?
A 2020 study decided to find out, and they focused on Thailand. Now, why Thailand? Because it's a market with weaker investor protections, which makes a high-quality audit even more critical. The researchers analyzed a ton of companies, comparing the 2 years before KAMs were required to the 2 years after. And they weren't just looking for anything. They were looking for the ultimate sign of an audit failure, a financial restatement. This is that huge public oops moment when a company has to admit that their previous numbers were wrong. A good audit, in theory, should prevent that from ever happening.
And believe me, this was a serious investigation. The researchers crunched the numbers on over 1,500 different company reports. This wasn't a small sample size. They were looking for a clear, statistically significant pattern in the data.
So after all that work, what was the final verdict? Did these new transparent audit reports really make a difference? Well, the first finding was, okay. Just okay. The study found what it called weak evidence that requiring these KAMs improved audit quality. There was a slight drop in future restatements, which suggests auditors would be a little more careful. So, a small win.
But this led to a really practical question, the kind you or I would ask. If an auditor lists a whole bunch of worries, does that mean a company is in more trouble? Like, if you see 5 KAMs instead of 2, should you run for the hills?
The answer was a resounding nope. The researchers found absolutely no link between the number of KAMs and the chances of a future problem. A long list didn't mean more risk. A short list didn't mean it was safe. The sheer quantity was totally meaningless. Now, this was a huge surprise. The most obvious signal, just counting the red flags, turned out to be a distraction. But buried deeper in the data was the real story. See, it wasn't about how many clues there were, it was about finding the right one. Because the study found that while most of the issues auditors brought up were basically just noise, one specific topic was an incredibly powerful predictor of future trouble. The researchers tested all the usual suspects, things you see pop up all the time, like revenue recognition or how assets are valued. And guess what? None of them predicted future problems. They were just standard procedure.
But this one did. The single most powerful clue was any mention of a company acquisition. Think about it. Mergers are super complex with all this tricky accounting. So if an auditor specifically flags an acquisition as a key audit matter, it's a massive signal of a much higher risk for financial errors down the road.
So what does this all mean for you? How can you take this academic insight and actually use it to be a smarter investor? It's actually incredibly simple.
Here's your takeaway checklist. It's just 3 steps. 1. Pull up a company's annual report and find the audit report. 2. Scroll down to the section called Key Audit Matters. And 3. Do a simple word search for acquisition. If it's there, that's not a reason to panic, but it is a crystal clear signal to start digging much, much deeper.
And hey, you don't have to take my word for it. The researchers themselves wrapped it up with this direct advice. Anyone reading financial statements should be more careful when they see a KAM related to an acquisition. It's the one piece of information that truly cuts through all the noise.
But this all leaves us with one final, pretty important question. The study itself noted this risk. As auditors see what everyone else is writing, these disclosures could just become generic, boilerplate text. They could lose their value. So is this powerful clue about acquisitions a temporary signal, or is it a permanent new tool for investors? The answer to that is going to shape the future of financial transparency.
Thank you for listening to NoCast by CMUBS, Chiang Mai University Business School. We hope today's episode inspired you to see knowledge in a new light, as something you can use, share, and grow with. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to our channel for more conversations that bridge ideas, innovation, and impact. You can also connect with us on social media to stay updated on upcoming episodes and research insights from CMUBS. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep discovering, because every idea has the power to make a difference. This is NoCast by CMUBS, signing off with knowledge that inspires change.